Over the past couple of months with Fallout and really Bethesda games in general, we've been talking quite a bit about how mod authors are quitting NexusMods, this being the most popular modding site for PC users, and in turn, many mods getting removed from Nexus. And although I've made full videos extensively covering why this is happening, why some mod authors feel one way, some others feel another way, really at the core of all of this are the mod packs or mod collections coming to Nexus and the rollout of this. One of the big issue points here being that Nexus is removing the ability for mod authors to actually delete their mods permanently. Instead, they could just archive them and take down the mod page, but mod collections would still always be able to download them. With all that said, what I wanted to focus on in this video was actually some of those removed mods. Some of those mods that were either abandoned or deleted off Nexus, and even further, some of the alternate mod sites that have started to pop up, as some people have just completely moved on elsewhere. Several mods that are actually quite popular and now off Nexus getting updates elsewhere, and even some other mod authors who have been releasing totally new and actually pretty awesome content, and it's nowhere on Nexus, so you may have just not even realized it came out. This video will serve as a bit of a summary on some of that deleted content, where you could find it all, and even what may actually end up becoming one of the big Nexus mod alternatives in the near future. So really is a great resource for all of this, and I'll have a link to this down below, as well as all of the other mods I talk about in this video. We do have this really large document that compiles some of the mod authors that have abandoned their mods on Nexus, so just legacy versions remain, people have deleted their mods, and where else they've gone. And what you'll see is there are a ton of awesome mods that you're no longer able to download, and you'll probably just stumble upon it one day as you think about it, go back to download it, and then you're like, oh, it's gone. So remember this document. Then all kinds of mods are affected by this, like some weapon mods from the Fallout New Vegas remake mod, the single action army revolver, which was recreated for Fallout 4 New Vegas. It's a particularly awesome revolver mod. It's actually one of my favorites. At its core, it does have some basic customization options, but I love it not only because it has that nostalgia factor, looks great, but it has a lot of really nice functionality. You can just reload as many bullets as you want, so you could pause the reloads after 1 or 2 bullets put in. If you fire twice, you only reload 2 bullets at a time. It'll play partial animations, and it's all around just a blast to use in Fallout 4. I think revolvers really showcase how good and satisfying the weapon system is in Fallout 4. And of course, if you want something even more iconic from New Vegas, the Fallout 4 New Vegas anti-material rifle was also hit from the same mod author. It's that massive iconic sniper rifle from New Vegas, and of course looks awesome in Fallout 4 in addition to doing massive amounts of damage. And it actually occupies a really nice levelless spot as a nice high tier long range rifle. Both of these mods have been pulled for Nexus, at least for now, and are now just up on a nice Google Drive link from the mod author. And it's not just applying to the New Vegas remake mod. On the side of the Fallout 3 remake mod, they made the announcement that legacy versions of their mods will remain up on Nexus and not being removed, but they won't be getting updates, and some of their newer mods will be posted elsewhere. This hasn't been a big issue thus far, as we haven't seen any new releases, but with that point, look out DLC release looming. It could potentially be a big issue depending on where that is or isn't posted. And speaking of where some of these mods are going to end up, there are a collection of mod authors actually working on a mod site alternative, that known as Mod Sanctum. There's not too many details live about this thus far, just rumblings from one mod author or another mentioning that they'll be relaunching or kind of soft relaunching their mods on the website, and that it may go up at some point in October. Some of the mods that seemingly will be available once again on this are things like Crime and Punishment or even Gun for Hire, 2 really awesome mods adding in just a complete new set of mechanics into Fallout 4. Gun for Hire allowing you functionally to become a mercenary yourself in Fallout 4 and open your own little shop outside of Diamond City, and Crime and Punishment allowing you to hunt down and capture criminals and adding in a ton of interesting mechanics around that. A smaller one, but one that I'm a huge fan of, is the Spawn Settler button. It's a super simple cheat mod, but super handy. This is currently available nowhere, and seemingly will be relaunching on Mod Sanctum, as well as a ton of the various Thuggy Smurf mods or Project Valkyrie mods, like Diary of a Madman, which gives you a ton of alternate ways to take out major factions of Fallout 4 in a lore-friendly way to do it. That team's also working on something new with Commonwealth bounties, which will likely have its full and proper launch only on Mod Sanctum. It's hard to gauge how many mods will or won't jump over to this new website, especially now that just a work in progress, but I wouldn't be shocked if in the next month we see it going up and we see many mod authors moving over. One of the issues right now in this interim, where we do have hundreds of mods deleted off Nexus, is although many have been rehosted or hosted personally by mod authors on Discords JuiceHeads or other places, lots of times there's actually not that much documentation, and not nearly the same degree of documentation that there was previously. So Mod Sanctum may actually provide as a nice alternative that many people end up flocking to. But as far as just some other really quality but deleted content that you may have missed in some of the other mod websites that have been popping up, we do have Better Drumlin Diner. This is a simple but particularly cool mod, as basically what it's going to do is actually turn Drumlin Diner into more of a small settlement. There's some workbenches you could use, a bed, and almost like a nice pit stop you could make in survival mode, and a place to call home somewhat. It also adds in a secondary trader and just makes the Drumlin Diner a place you end up going to pretty early on feel a lot more substantial. Better Drumlin Diner is no longer on Nexus and instead now hosted on AFK Mods, something that's been around for a bit and many mod authors have moved over to as an alternate to Nexus, and you could find several familiar faces there now. The satellite color world map combo will make it so Fallout 4's world map can have some clues to where certain armors or items or notable points are, although you can disable that aspect if you're not interested in it. But in general, it's just a top-down satellite view of the Commonwealth, which I think is pretty cool, giving you a bit more of Fallout 76 vibes and obviously quite accurate. It's exactly what the Commonwealth looks like. This is actually over on Lover's Lab, which I can't show you or link to you, because if I do, this video will actually get a copyright strike. Lover's Lab is typically known for some of the looter mods for Fallout 4, as you could probably imagine from the name, and if you've been in the modding scene for long enough, you've probably heard that website mentioned once or twice. And although there is a decent amount of that content, there's also quite a few just regular mods hosted there. Although be careful, because obviously you never know what you're going to run into. Two of my personal favorite mods to get deleted off Nexus, and I think actually two of the biggest losses, are Pack Attack and Pack Attack NPC Edition. This is a quite comprehensive overhaul of the AI in Fallout 4, how enemies will behave with each other, giving them the ability to retreat, to flank you, to actually fight in groups. It really is a great and phenomenal mod, and still getting attention and updates. It's just now hosted on the mod authors Discord. Quite a few mod authors have retreated to a Discord or a personal website set up just for downloads, such as another one of my favorites with the MP40 mod, now off of Nexus. This is a really cool weapon mod that adds in the MP40, but then also an experimental and a more modern version of the MP40. So you're gonna have that traditional old school World War II weapon, or something tactical, or something crazy that kind of fits in the Fallout world in one way or another. It's a really cool one. It looks great. I know though, that's a ton of content that at least some of you have probably seen, but then maybe forgotten about, or maybe you're gonna go look for it again and realize, oh no, it's gone. There's also just some new content. Better Locational Damage is one of the most well-known damage overhauls for Fallout 4, and another personal favorite of mine. It's not deleted off of Nexus, but instead it's actually now hosted by the mod author himself and getting updates only off of Nexus. The Nexus version simply exists as a legacy, but the two latest updates aren't on Nexus. The mod's armor penetration system has been reworked and started to actually add in some overhauls for AI of other NPCs. So now the NPCs just with this mod may use behavior like retreating, or actually behave differently if they've recently used a chem, and depending on which type of chem that is. Better Locational Damage is a real massive mod, but at its core, it's a combat overhaul, making it so where you hit an enemy, or if they're wearing a helmet or not, or which enemy you're hitting in the head with a certain caliber type will all actually factor in. It just makes combat a lot more interesting and at times more difficult. Icestorm's another pretty well-known mod author who removed nearly all of his content from Nexus. He's made a ton of great stuff over the years. Two of their more recent standouts are things like the Orsis F-17, this really awesome sniper rifle for Fallout 4 that not only just looks phenomenal, but also has really solid animation, some cool customization options, and it was super popular when it released on Nexus. And even what I think is a little bit more fun, the GRL-45 grenade launcher, which is kind of a sci-fi themed grenade launcher fitting in super well into Fallout 4 thematically. You could customize this with all kinds of unique and interesting grenade types and cause quite serious havoc in the Commonwealth. And although you could find those two hosted on his personal website, he's also been personally releasing a ton of great content. I'm sure Xbox users have noticed this because he still is releasing mods regularly on Bethesda.net. He just released the OTS-14 Rosa. This is a really interesting one. It's kind of a weird weapon, something I've never seen in other video games before. Not so much weird in its functionality, but just in the overall look and design of this one. But it's coming to Fallout 4 with beautiful textures and a really awesome model, and of course solid animations to back it up. And it gets even better because it does have a fully functional underbarrel grenade launcher that you can toggle on and off with a hotkey. It's really cool, incredibly satisfying to use, and although it does occupy by that modern weapon vibe that many Fallout 4 mods do, it's weird enough that it still feels unique and interesting. And something else that is completely unique and interesting, we also do have Seeker Mines. These being brought into Fallout from a different franchise, and functionally, these will almost be one-time use grenade followers. Little grenades or mines that you can throw down or actually use a custom drop animation to place at your side, and then they will follow you around, even if you fast travel away, and then when an enemy is detected, they'll turn red and roll and explode on them. There's a few different versions here, some cluster ones, some larger ones, and then just the typical singular one. And this one in particular is really fun to use in game. It feels like one of those odd things that fits in really well with the Fallout world, like it could exist there as part of the Institute or something. Both of these mods just being hosted on his official website, and he gives updates on his Patreon. The release updates as well as descriptions being completely free. There's no paywall to actually get these. And then last but not least, we do have Spiffyskytrooper, who's yet another mod author to move away from Nexus, leaving up his old legacy content, but no new content and no updates coming to that content. Him being behind some of the best environmental mods out there, like Desperado's Overhaul, or even Natural Grasses and Ground Covers, which was another pretty awesome environmental mod, and something that I still don't think has really been replaced by anything else. He's moved over to yet another new or different website, that with Cursed Forge. Cursed Forge actually being pretty big in the Minecraft scene. I remember using this pretty often back in the day, but some Fallout 4 modders have taken refuge there, and he too has released two totally new mods, the Advanced Combat Headgear. This just being a totally custom helmet mod for Fallout 4, featuring a wide variety of customization options, but also looks really cool. I know I'm definitely someone who leans more away from the tactical mods we see so often or modern military style, and I like stuff like this that looks a bit more Fallout. I think it'll fit in really well with the game overall. It does offer highlighting of enemies as they're around you, but even perhaps a bit cooler, he does have the port and some updates around Ambient Wasteland. This was a mod for some of the older Fallout games, and in effect what it's going to do is add to the soundscape of Fallout 4. So now, depending on your location, as you're walking, you'll hear things, whether it be birds, snakes, gunfights, or dogs in some of the more traditional regions like around Red Rocket. Or even like things in the cities, hearing falling metal, shattering glass, or even just clanging around and moaning around some of those buildings. And that's just a brief summary. There's a bunch of other noises you can discover and find with this one. It's another really cool one that I feel like would have actually gotten a ton of attention on Nexus, but as of right now, I think a lot of people are overlooking this one. And he too actually has a pretty large scale mod coming, that would be Lost Vault Redux. He posted a trailer up a few months ago on his YouTube, this being a remake of an older mod, and it looks awesome. And obviously this too isn't going to end up being on Nexus, so another one I'll have to keep an eye on and I'll definitely keep you up to date with. But overall, it's kind of an update on some of those mod authors that took a step away from Nexus. It seems like a lot more will likely be happening in the next month or so if Mod Sanctum does go live in October. It seems like some major mods will be getting posted on that, including some totally new unreleased content, or at least unreleased publicly content, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of people to turn away from Nexus to post up their mods there as an alternate, especially because it's the new cool thing. With that said, hopefully you guys found this one informative. Perhaps I gave you a few different places to look at mods, or perhaps you just found some mods that you either had heard about in the past or never heard of before, and you're going to go download. Again, I'll have links to just about everything down below in the description. With that said, as always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, but with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.